Alright everybody, hello and welcome. As always, I am Sean and this is In The Mix, episode 144 of our Man series. Happy Thursday, wherever in the world you happen to be watching from. Now, if you haven't gone back and watched the other episodes this week, go and check them out. They're going to bring you up to date with where we're at this season, kind of our focuses, our aims for the year, and how we've travelled in the early part of our 5th season in the Premier League. I've got to double check that now. Yep, our 5th season, 17 seasons overall. And that season continues with two massive games today. We're not going to waste too much time. We're going to jump straight in and see how we've gone. So, as you guys can see, just above my head up here, you can see we're in second position, 2 points behind Man City. We did finish yesterday's episode, level on points with them, but they have such a vastly superior goal difference. And we've had not the worst run of results, but not a great run of results either in the last couple of games. Of course, in yesterday's episode, we played Aston Villa, a good 3-1 win in the Premier Division, and then a 2-1 defeat away at Ajax, which was a little bit frustrating. We did turn it around and get a good 1-0 victory against Norwich. We rotated quite heavily for the game against Chelsea in the Carabao Cup. Carabao Cup, not super high on our list of important competitions for the season. You'll see the majority of our backup players played, and I'm thinking we'd probably do that same philosophy for the FA Cup as well once that kicks off. And maybe if we get through to like the quarterfinals, semi-finals, then we might start putting our first choice lineup in there again. But in reality, like the Europa League is a bigger financial incentive to do well in and make the knockout rounds and get through to the semi-finals, similar to what we did last year. And of course, the Premier Division as well. The higher we finish in that, the more prize money we get. If we can make a push up towards Champions League spots like we currently are, we want to sustain that for as long as possible, which does mean Carabao Cup, FA Cup kind of take a back seat for the time being anyway. It was pretty much a full strength Chelsea side. They won 4-1. They were the better team. It's hardly, I can't really complain about any of it, to be completely honest with you. We then drew 1-1 with Leeds in a game where we were probably unlucky to not win the match. Lee Dickinson had a torrid time filling in for the injured Luciano Fontana at right fullback. Giorgio Valia was playing on that left-hand side for Leeds in this match, and he was pretty good, to be honest. I think anytime he wanted to, he just kind of walked around our defence. He eventually got the equalising goal for them in the 13th minute, and eventually Lee Dickinson got sent off as well. So a game I would have hoped to have won, but you know, a 1-1 draw doesn't kill us exactly dead in the water. If we had won, we'd still be level on points with Man City, but they'd still be ahead of us anyway on goal difference, so it hasn't changed our league position in any way. We then had a frustrating 0-0 draw against Ajax. Again, we were the better side in this. You can see our defence coped with pretty much everything they did. The midfield had an alright time, just that front three didn't quite click and didn't quite find the finishes, and that's continuing to be kind of a point of difference at the moment between ourselves and the teams that we're trying to get above. Maybe we need to try and have like a front three that's a starting three, and then, you know, like not that much distance between the three behind them as well, so that when we need to, we can change players in and out for form, fitness, all that sort of stuff. We don't have too much time to be concerned with that because we've got two massive fixtures today. We're going to play Chelsea in the Premier Division at the Isle of Man Stadium. We'll be a little bit more positive in that one. And then we've got an away trip down to Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, New White Hart Lane, against Tottenham in London. We do have a full week between games. It's been a while since we've actually had a full week gap. So that additional form, fitness, all that sort of stuff will be very helpful for us before we go into the last couple of Europa League fixtures. And then we've also got like a massive, very busy December period as well, with big games against the likes of Southampton, Man United, Man City, Everton and Liverpool, who are all top half teams. As far as the squad's concerned, not anything massive that we have to worry about. Lee Dickinson's of course suspended, but he wouldn't really be starting in a full strength lineup anyway. David Cambridge still out for quite a while. He broke his leg. He's got like 3 to 5 months to go. But otherwise, it's pretty much a full strength lineup available to us. The one thing that we do have to be mindful of is this average rating over the last 5 games. You can see Carlos Andre hasn't played particularly well. Ortiz, Haji and Peacock also not really setting the world on fire. We had one big performance 5 games ago from Pablo Rivera where he got a hat-trick. But in reality, his last 4 games, he's struggled to get involved in the play, to get assists, to get goals, which is what we really need him in the side to be doing. We will likely stick with this structure for the match against Chelsea. They are the stronger of the two sides. Tottenham are a little bit weaker, but then if that doesn't work, we might start adjusting some of these individual roles. Like we might push the wingers to attack, see if that gets the most out of them. Maybe Haji plays as an attacking midfielder or a Trequartista for a couple of games. Maybe we move Pablo Rivera to be a pressing forward. Actually, you know what? Maybe we might do that now anyway, just to see how it goes, and we'll kind of test it out in this positive structure. Worst case scenario, we put him back to an advanced forward. It's not a big drama. But it's just those like minuscule tactical tweaks, those little changes and adjustments to try and kind of like kickstart players' form. I don't think we're super worried about the overall quality of the squad. I don't think we're super worried about the tactic not necessarily working, because when it works really well. It's more just about individual players being out of form a little bit. And as we know, when you reload the game, go to record an episode, anything can happen. But hopefully we will get an improved performance against Chelsea today. The other thing I wanted to look at is, because I never really look at it, is our staff. We are pretty much amongst the highest average players in the Premier Division itself. Our medical team has also moved to the best in the Premier League, so pretty much the best in the country, if you want to look at it that way. And we're slowly getting a recruitment team that is capable of matching it with a lot of those sides as well. You can see our presenting data is nearly as good as Manchester United's, and they've got like a massive army of scouts around the world. And we've actually got 2 different scouting positions that are available for us to try and recruit into. Now, the only way that I go out and get staff is I go and I search for the staff role, and then using the attribute button here, the pick one, is I highlight the key roles for scouts and have it at least 15. Maybe if there's a lot of results, I might push it up to 16, 17, 18. But those 3 key roles, key attributes that you need for a scout has presented us with these 3 options. Cohen Vistra, who's pretty decent. He's playing over in he's scouting over with AZ Alkmaar in Holland. We don't have the best visibility in Holland at the moment as far as our scouting network is concerned, so we're going to put an offer in for him. And then the other one we've looked at is a regen player, Louis Ryan, who's previously been at Wimbledon Cardiff and was briefly with us as a chief scout a couple of seasons ago. We're going to try and bring him back in now. He's got very good player ability judging, he's got very good player potential judging, and good adaptability. He knows England is pretty much the only place, but at least we can set him to like scout our future opposition, scout other teams in the division, get more knowledge around England and the Premier Division structure. The other one it resulted in was this guy, Sonny Bose from Vitesse Arnhem. I've gone with the other guy, Veenstra, for the time being, just because he's a bit younger, and I think his attributes are a little bit better in terms of what we need. So that's it. That's pretty much how I do it. It'll be interesting to see if those 2 players actually sign, or if those 2 scouts actually sign in this episode, if that pushes our recruitment team a little bit higher in the highest average ratings for the Premier Division. If we can get to a stage where we eventually have all of the best staff available to us, we're going to be in really good shape moving forward. Our facilities aren't quite where we need them to be. You can see we've only got limited youth recruitment, basic academy coaching, but then good training and good youth facilities. We want to continue to try and grow and develop those. But given that our finances are in the situation there are, we have moved up. Like we were at 191 million only a couple of months ago. We're now up to 157 million pound in debt. And that's without the additional prize money that will come from an extended Europa League campaign, from an extended FA Cup run, our finish in the Premier Division, and all of our TV rights deals and all that sort of stuff. We do want to try and make sure that we have the best staff available and on hand to try and develop our players, as well as, you know, giving everyone as much playing time as humanly possible throughout the course of the season to continue their development that way. The rest of our staff, our very, very good coaching staff, are all pretty much ex-professionals. You'll see I've got like Solskjaer, I've had him for a couple of seasons now. Phil Neville's been around the club for ages. Robbie Fowler, Radamel Falcao, Ian Robin, John Terry, Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank, Iker Casillas, Wes Brown. Paul Pogba's my assistant. We had Harry Kane a couple of seasons ago before he got a full-time manager job elsewhere. I just try and get exactly the same way that we go in, we search for a coach, we look for the best, like, you know, coaching attributes we want. Say we're not doing that well in attacking tactical, we might put that in as 15. If no one shows up, we drop it down to 14. You can see this guy, John Gray, comes up. He doesn't have any caps to his name. He's previously been a caretaker manager at Swansea. Maybe we would drop it down again to 13 apiece, and then you can start seeing players come into it that have potentially just recently retired. Like Hayden Mullins comes up here. He's got under 21 caps. A bigger one would be Ruud van Nistelrooy at PSV. 69 Dutch caps to his name. He'd be a good one to bring in and then hopefully push to get higher licensing. He's already got his Continental Pro, but to really continue his development and continue his growth. That's effectively what we've done. Anytime that the players retire, we kind of keep an eye on them to see, hey, is this something we could bring in if they've got kind of raw attributes now, that if we get them their Continental Pro license by eventually working their way through their badges, we'll get to the stage where they could be an elite level. And so far it's worked. And I think a lot of people in their saves end up with, like, you know, the best coaches available in the world just by developing players that have recently retired. And that's always the good thing that I try and like recommend to people. If you're looking for your own coaches, like look at Iker Casillas. He's already a phenomenal goalkeeping coach and he's only Continental A license. If he eventually gets his pro license, I would see these distribution, handling and shot stopping attributes jumping up by a point or two and him being one of the best goalkeeping coaches in the world. He's also a pretty decent just regular coach in terms of his attributes. Good mental attributes, good tactical, technical stuff for attacking. Decent fitness as well under his belt. He's 54 years of age now, but you know, he's been with us 3 years. He's got a bunch of different licenses during that time. His development has been fantastic, and we don't pay him a tremendous amount a week. 5k a week isn't that much for a Premier Division coach. That's how I do it, at least. There's a million different ways. You've probably got your own styles and strategies, but if you're struggling to find coaches, go and check out some of the most recently retired ex-professionals. And as you would a player, try and develop them over time. We've gone through a whole bunch of different stuff. Let's jump straight into the lineups against Chelsea now. Right, so it is pretty much a full strength lineup for us. We've got Mancini in goal, Mokhtar and Esteban as the defensive duo, Carlos Andre and Luciano Fontana as the wingbacks. I've gone with Henry and Leicester as the two midfielders. It's just because David Lind has a little bit of conditioning that's not quite there. I'd rather give him the rest and then have everyone prepared and ready to go and in full conditioning for that busy December period. We will bring him on. Don't really know what time. It might be half time. It might be after an hour. We'll just see how we're going in the match itself. But Gary Leicester, more than capable of jumping in at this level. Haji at the 10, Ortiz and Peacock on the wings, and Rivera leading the line up top, albeit as a pressing forward. Maybe that's the key to getting a little bit more goal production out of him for the season. Though having said that, 5 goals from 15 appearances, that's not the worst strike rate in the world. Now looking over at Chelsea, we have played Chelsea a few different times. They have some absolute superstars in their side. Stephen Campbell's one that we watched while he was like a 19-year-old wonder kid, not playing yet at Chelsea. 5-star current ability and potential ability, one of the best fullbacks in world football. If you look at wingback on defend, he's got pretty much every key attribute that you've got here, like over, I think 13's the lowest for anticipation. Everything else is over a 15, which is absolutely crazy. And even his secondary attributes are incredibly high as well. Just an absolute beast on that right-hand side. And he's the starting English right back as well. In midfield, they've got this guy, Indicachea, 23-year-old Argentine midfielder, was previously at Barcelona. They bought him a few seasons ago for record money. They usually play him as a 10. They're playing him a bit deeper today, which will be nice and interesting. I think they're using him as a deep line playmaker for a bit more of a withdrawn role at the base of midfield. That does open up space for Josef Heinen, another ex-wonder kid from Borussia Dortmund. He was absolutely phenomenal for them a few seasons ago. Proper like number 10 shadow striker, only 24 years of age as well. He's got a whole lot of football ahead of him. And again, just like phenomenal traits. Pretty much all of these green ones, these key traits here, you can see at least 15. A lot of them are 16s, 17s, 18s. Which is pretty phenomenal. Only acceleration letting him down, but you don't really need that if you're good enough to shoot the ball from distance in this version of the game. Even his secondary attributes, absolutely fantastic. And he can play up front as well as an advanced forward, so a bit of versatility from the German number 10. And then the other guy we're going to have a look at is the guy that got a double against us in the Carabao Cup, Thomas Fleischmann. Advanced forward that they've only had this season. They picked him up from Schalke over in Germany. Seems to be a happy hunting ground for them of late. Again, like 17 dribbling, 18 finishing, 18 first touch, 17 technique, all these key technical attributes above 17. Very good off the ball movement, wonderful physical attributes as well. And he is an elite striker. We don't yet have any elite players. I think probably Neil Peacock and Arnaud Henry are the most likely to eventually get to that stage. Arnaud Henry, obviously still the wonder kid at the moment. Peacock has just turned 22. I would think he's going to move to like world-class ability relatively soon if he continues to get a decent amount of England caps in his game. But really, it just kind of goes to show like how far we still have to go as a team and how well we're doing to be up in and around the European spots, given the difference in time at which we've been in the Premier League. Like Chelsea is still making £30 to £50 million a year in the Premier Division every season all the way through. We're only into our 5th year. We've got a lot of catching up to do financially. Assertively, we're going to say we owe Chelsea after what happened in our last match, and everyone seems responded quite well. Only a couple of players actually came off the bench in that Carabao Cup defeat, which kind of set us up nicely to go after it a little bit in this one with a stronger lineup, just playing a bit more positive. We're not on counter-attacking or anything like that, and hopefully we can get a good result. Haji with a free kick from a wide area, and it's a good head home. El Mehdi Mokhtar, I think it is. First goal of the season for him. His star ratings have dropped off this season, but as far as his average rating goes, as far as the performances we've seen on the pitch, he's been quite good, and this could set us up for a pretty famous win on the Isle of Man in Douglas. Speaking of the real life Isle of Man as well, they've got their first practice match coming up in a few weeks against Guernsey. That'll be very interesting to see. We might even do something on the channel for it if we can. Through 30 minutes now and no further highlights. We haven't seen much from Chelsea yet at all. We're going to use demand more, and there's immediately a highlight. Hopefully this isn't going to be one that backfires. They're yet to have had a highlight or really a shot on target from the stats. Ball down to the channel, recovered by Fontana. Now Leicester. Back to Fontana again. Good little exchange of passes, but Russo wins it back for Chelsea. We have to be careful. They only really need one chance to find the back of the net, given the quality that they've got in their forward line. And they've got a 2v1 on this left-hand side we have to be wary of. Stuani goes past Fontana. Just stand him up, boys. Don't do anything silly. Wide left area. Thankfully, it's a defender's finish. He just slowly passed it into the side netting, which is good for us. Still no shots on target for them, but they do have another throw in here. The marking's poor as Heinen gets free. Ball towards back stick and Paolucci, thankfully, with the far post header just wide again. Couple of highlights. A good little spell of pressure here for Chelsea. And it might mean in the second half we might make a tactical adjustment, and it's a very rare negative tactical adjustment for me. At halftime, 6 shots, 4 on target, 47% possession. El-Medi Mokhtar's goal from that set piece just getting us ahead at the moment, but they are still pretty much on top of us in terms of possession. It's just those shots that they've had haven't hit the target. We're going to go into the dressing room. We're going to assertively say, don't get complacent out there. Everyone seems motivated. And then we're also, as they try and push a little bit further on us, switch back to our counter-attacking structure. What I'm also going to do is put Esteban to be a covering defender and Mancini to be a defending goalkeeper. So everyone's in their preferred roles going into the second half. You can see again at half time, like Rivera not having a great game, Peacock not having a great game. We might jump back into the team talk actually. Oh, I can't do it. I was going to maybe give them individual team talks, but it doesn't look like we've got that option. We'll keep an eye on their match ratings for the next 15 minutes or so. And if we do need to, we will make that change. All right, through the hour mark now, no highlights for either side. Tactically, we're going to drop off a little bit. If we sort by match rating here, you can see Rivera just not in good form at the minute. It's not the best time for him to be struggling either. Peacock also not playing particularly well. Maybe we'll bring on Jimmy Winter on that right-hand side and we might move him to be... Oh no, I've accidentally put him on the left-hand side. It looks like Ortiz is also struggling. You know what? Let's go with that. Let's play him as an inverted winger on support. Just mix it up a little bit. Tell them we've got faith in them and that they can make a difference. And then we'll hold on to that last sub for the last 15 minutes or so. We've also used a get creative shout and they've immediately got a highlight. Second time now we've used a shout and it's immediately led to Chelsea possession. Into Kachaya. Coming forward now Heinen, playing a little bit deeper. Back to Ononi. The shape's good, boys. Just keep sending them backwards. You don't need to commit too high to the press. Ononi into Kachaya. Ononi again. All the way back to Calcagni. Don't go 2 men to the press. Mbangu's found the finish though. Can he find it? He can indeed. He's pressed the goalkeeper on his own. Just as I was whispering gently into the microphone, you don't have to force the press. He manages to take advantage of an absolute howler from Calcagni in the Chelsea goal. And you'd think maybe a 2-goal advantage and 30 minutes to defend it might be enough for us. It's a good tackle and the keeper just falls down. I don't know what he's doing. Imagine if Mancini did that at the other end and the tantrum that I would throw if that was to happen. Mbangu bangs it in. He pretty much could have done a rainbow on his way through, just dribbling it into the empty net. And look at that. Calcagni heads to a 5.0 average match rating for the game. All right, we've got 10 minutes remaining. We're going to use one more change. And who's struggling the most? Henri hasn't had the greatest game. I'm going to bring on... Oh, David Lind has a knock. So maybe we won't risk that one. Maybe we'll go with Haji getting a bit of a spell and we might bring on Lua Barbosa, a bit of an experienced head, switch into an attacking midfielder. And he's good out of the air as well, so he'll help us at those set-piece scenarios that might come with late pressure. And we've also used the demand more shout with a few minutes remaining. Only Henri has responded positively to it. But 3 minutes of additional time. Wide free kick for Chelsea towards back post. And only lets it run. Just stand him up, boys. Don't do anything silly. Mokhtar does win it back into a good area. Can send it up the channel now for a couple of players. And Bungo is one of them. And we've got bodies streaming forward in midfield. Just go to the corner flag, boys. And Bungo eventually goes to strike himself. He's been busy since he came on. Maybe he's pushing to try and get a start against Tottenham. Ball across here to Peacock. Cut back to Barbosa. Peacock wins it again. Now Henri, Leicester, sends Peacock to the corner flag. Just stay there, Neil. Don't worry about it. He tries to get the cross in. It's closed down well. But it is actually brought back for the offside. So with Chelsea's last roll of the dice, if they do pull something back here late in injury time, it's going to set up a very tense last couple of minutes. Into Kachaya, turns in midfield. I think he's playing a little bit further forward now. Looks like Heinen might have also moved out to the right-hand side. Ball forward. Goff puts it back in. Paulo Guerrero sends Goff on the overlap. Heinen with the ball in, and Mancini does very well. Gets off his line very quickly. Comes out, saves, and holds. And we've gotten a famous victory, 2-0 against a very, very strong Chelsea team. 11 shots, 7 on target, 50% possession. I think the big long-running theme of this one is the 7 shots Chelsea took, none of them on target, and they did have 50% of the ball as well. I'm going to passionately say, very happy with the result and the way that you played, and maybe this is the start of a good little spell of football for us. In other games, it looked like City beat Leicester 1-0, so they do stay 2 points ahead of us, but we do now have 4 points clearance on Arsenal, who are down in third spot. So even if we do slip up in the game against Tottenham, we should still finish the episode in second position at least. El-Medi Mokhtar gets an 8.2 match rating for his goal and a good defensive performance. And they're saying it's 2 mistakes from Calcagni, the goalkeeper. I don't really know what he could have done differently for the first goal. It was a good ball in from Haji. It was good backstick header from Mokhtar. We'll give him a bit of praise. Passionately, let's say defensive work was top-notch. A clean sheet against a strike force that's that good is very impressive. And we're now 5 matches in a row without losing. A couple of those have been draws, but actually no, this is just looking at league fixtures. So Leeds was our most recent draw. 4 wins in our last 4 other matches is very, very good. And we don't have too much to worry about. Now what I'm curious about is maybe if we might go cautious from the off. And what I might do is make that adjustment again to get everyone just in their preferred roles. It is tougher playing away from home against these big six sides. And we might see David Lind come back into the lineup. He should be fully fit. I'm going to drop him back in. Let's play him as a DLP on defend, which is his preferred role anyway, just to get everyone comfortable. Do I want to use a rest day? Yeah, screw it. Why not? We want to try and keep everyone fit for December. That's going to be a key and critical time for us. So we'll give everyone that we expect to start 1 day's rest, and then magic of editing, we're going to jump forward to the game against Tottenham now. Right, a little bit earlier than we said we'd come back because Louis Ryan has joined as a scout, as has Cohen Veenstra from AZ Alkmaar. And as far as our staff's concerned, that does push us up a little bit higher in our overall value for the recruitment team. You can see we're now the best side in the division at presenting data, and it has pushed us up to second spot for like player potential judging, player ability, judging player data, and judging team data. Manchester United the best at all of those. So we've still got a little way to go to actually hit their level, but maybe, just maybe, if we do get Champions League football, if we do finish above them in the league, maybe we'll get a reputation boost and we can start poaching some of their staff. That might be another way that we look at it next season as well. Right, so again, not the screen we usually come back to, but we've had a little bit of an international break and then also some kind of difficult news that's come through in the last few days. You can see we are actually expected to finish ahead, we are favourites for this match, 4 to 6 favourites. We're currently in second spot. They're down in 16th. They're not in a great run of form either, and drew their last Premier Division game against Bournemouth, who aren't exactly like the best side in the world. So maybe this is a good time to be playing Tottenham. Maybe we do have a great shout at getting 6 points in this episode against two very big teams. The difficulty is that Neil Peacock has come through from the England game and picked up a hamstring strain. He's out 2 to 4 weeks, which is not great timing given that we've also got a big game against Red Bull Leipzig next up in the Europa League. We will start Jimmy Winter on the right-hand side. We're also going to put Paul Harold on the bench, the English wonder kid that we picked up from Tottenham this off-season. He just hasn't hit the ground running just yet. We are still trying to work him to be, a winger or an attacking winger on that left-hand side. Maybe we did overspend a little bit. Maybe we didn't necessarily need him, but I've done it, so we've got to deal with it now. And maybe he can come off the bench and score against his old club. The other change I'm going to make, we already spoke about Lind coming back in. He's fully fit again. The other change I'm going to make is we're going to give Mbungu a start. Scored a great goal after coming off the bench, did his running. His condition isn't 100%, so we might just give him 60 minutes and then bring on Pablo Rivera with the last 30 minutes to go. And maybe dropping Rivera a little bit will give him kind of, the kick up the backside that he needs to actually find his form. I'm thinking he might be struggling a little bit more because of the interest being shown in him by Lille and Everton. He does have a fairly professional personality, so I'm not sure why he's struggling so much when the likes of Peacock and Wint and Henry and even Carlos Andre to an extent are just carrying on and playing particularly well. Even Esteban's still having a good season, even though he is wanted by quite a few different teams as well. But that's the challenge of having good, exciting young players in your squad. They're always going to be interested, or there will always be interest from other teams. So we'll see if that can kind of kickstart him a little bit. But Mbungu did well last time out. Hopefully he can carry on that form into this match as well. We have also gone to our counter-attacking mentality from the off. We're going to see how Tottenham go against this. They do have some very good players, and they are playing the old school 4-3-3 kind of hectic. At the back, they've got Snur Suisa, who is a long-time England central defender. I think he's the starting central defender for England. He was at Sheffield Wednesday for a few seasons. He's been at Tottenham now for 5 years. Still only 26. Still got a good amount of time ahead of him. Bowley was a player that I think was in the team of the week last week. 25-year-old Cote d'Ivoire, Ivory Coast international. Was at Watford for a little bit. He's been at Tottenham now for a good few seasons as well after starting his career over in Italy with Udinese. Again, nothing spectacular, but he's got some good traits here. Good passing, good technique, good agility as well from a physical perspective. And then up front, the guy you have to keep an eye on, I'm sure we've got to keep an eye on all three, but Alisson Vicente, 25-year-old Brazilian forward, does start for the Brazilian national side. A very, very good player. 4.5-star current ability, 5-star potential. And again, very similar to a lot of the other players that we've seen. Just super key traits for what you want him to do. All of his key traits for an advanced forward are over 16, which is pretty phenomenal to be completely honest. We'll see how we go against him. He has scored against us a couple of times as well over the last few years. But this is a Tottenham side that is struggling this year. Passionately, we're going to say we owe Tottenham after what happened in our last match. I don't remember that result, so it must have been last season, I'm guessing. They might have beat us in the run home. They did finish above us, just one spot up in 5th. But this year, have dropped off a little bit. Lind with the ball now. First highlight does start in our possession, but their press is pretty decent. Henry can work it out to left-hand side, and Ortiz has a support there with Carlos Andre. Played to him now. Can we get a good ball into the box? It's poor. Swinisa heads it away for Tottenham. We'll reset here through Lind, who finds Fontana on the right. Lind into Haji. Could maybe turn there and given it to Henry, who had a bit of time and space in that midfield area. Lind, Fontana, back to Lind again. We're not rushing possession. It's a poor ball across midfield, and this is where Vicente can turn and release the ball. Suisa sends it out left to Bowley. Just stand him up, boys. Now Mendoza, left-hand side, gets a touch in, and he finds the finish. 4th goal of the season. Horrible place to give away possession there in the midfield. And we're going to check out this one in 3 dimensions. I don't think it'll go back that far. Sweeser's ball out to the left-hand side. Bowley stands up, and then Fontana's kind of at 6s and 7s spinning around. And it's a tackle there from Mokhtar, which isn't great, and it just knocks it to Mendoza's advantage. And he pretty much side foots home into an empty net. Not the best start from the boys. First real highlight, first real shot we've seen, and it's a goal down already to Tottenham. Deep free kick now on 27 minutes. Forward into midfield. Good recovery there by Ortiz. Does well to win it back and sends Winter down into the corner. What can he do from the wide area? He goes the shot himself. Maybe could have looked to try and square it to the 6-yard box. Mbungu was in there 1v1, but nothing doing. Through 30 minutes now, we're going to use a demand more shout as well before half time. At least if we go in a goal down at half, we know what we can try and do in the second. Get a bit aggressive, go a bit attacking. And again, maybe it's our just forward line that's not doing well. We're also seeing some pretty low average ratings out there. 3 shots, 2 on target, 43% possession for Tottenham, but they are pretty much set up now, I think, to defend their lead. 5 shots, 2 on target, 57% of the ball for us. Aggressively, we're going to say, show a bit of desire. We don't look like a team that wants to win. We can end that team talk, and then we're also going to move back to our attacking structure, which will push some of the players on just a little bit further, and we'll give everyone the benefit of the doubt. There's a couple of 6.4s, 6.5s out there we have to be wary of, but we'll give them 15 minutes, see if they can't turn it around in the second half. Ball out now with Gannon. First real highlight from kickoff is Tottenham's way. It's pinballing around. Ortiz has won it back, and he's sent Mbungu over to chase. And it's a poor ball from Navoyan. Can Mbungu find the finish? It's not a bad effort, just beyond the far post. You'd have to think maybe Rivera on his left peg could have slid that one in. But again, Mbungu doing all the running. Carlos Andre, deep free kick, plays it to Henry. Switch out towards Winter on the right-hand side. He's got a lot to do. Okran wins the ball back for Tottenham. And they're playing it out very deep. Alison Vicente, he might be playing as a deep line forward in this one. He's dropping very deep into midfield to pick up possession. We do win it back. Fontana does well. Sends it out left now to Ortiz. Back to Henry. Ball out, good overlapping run from Andre. Finds him now. Back to Henry again. Good little reverse pass to Haji. And then Lynn from distance gets it on target. Mueller in the Tottenham goal. The custodian does very well. Forces it over for the corner. Ortiz is going to take that resulting corner now. He's gone short to Winter, which was never really on. It's very frustrating that they still do that short corner routine even when there's a defender. Stood right there. If there's a defender there, just put it in the box. Ball into Haji. Good little turn as well. Gets him away from the defender. Wide right area. Gets the strike away, but it's a poor effort straight at Mueller, who does well to save and hold. We're coming back into it here a little bit, and we're at the hour mark now. So we're going to hit pause, and then we're also going to look at average ratings. Winter is struggling, so what we might do is push Mbungu out to that right-hand side, and it means we'll bring on Pablo Rivera up top. We'll set Mbungu to play as a winger on attack. And we might do the same thing for Larry Ortiz as well. And you know what? Let's push on the wing backs a little bit more as well. Let's just send them to support for now and get them playing a little bit higher up the pitch. I'm going to put Esteban back to a covering defender just to allow for him to cover that space in behind. And it's also Carlos Andre struggling a little bit. So I might bring on Majdu, who can attack pretty well. He's a good forward player. And that'll do for now. We'll give it another 20 minutes and look at making that last sub with about 10 minutes to go. I'm worried that if we do all 3 of our subs early on, we will definitely go down to 10 men. We're also going to use a Get Creative shout, Oh Faithful, after an hour. And while everyone seems inspired, we haven't seen any highlights really for either team as we get towards the last 10 minutes. Let's have a look at doing that last sub. I've hit pause again. Bangu not having a great game. Ortiz not having a great game either. Let's go with that one. Let's bring on Paul Harold, winger on attack on that left-hand side. And then let's also use a demand more shout with 10 minutes remaining. We had such a fantastic performance against Chelsea. It would be so frustrating by way of an error in the early part of this match to throw away effectively a really good chance at 3 points. 3 minutes to be added on. We're through that now, and the referee's called full time. It's a pretty boring second half, to be fair. 8 shots, 3 on target, 40% possession for Tottenham, 1-0 victors on the day via Mendoza's goal. 14 shots, 7 on target, 60% of the ball for us, but just couldn't work that equalising opportunity. Aggressively, you weren't good enough today. If they're 16th in the division and struggling this year, albeit with some very good players, we should be beating sides like Tottenham particularly. If we want to try and keep pace with the likes of Man City, who now go 5 points clear of us, they are relentless. They beat Norwich 2-0, and it looks like Arsenal have also beaten Wolves 4-1 in their match, which sees them draw just 1 point behind us. It also drags us closer to Leeds, closer to Man United, closer to Newcastle. A couple more poor results, and we could drop down this table relatively quickly. A lot of the goal differences are also catching up pretty quickly as well. So it's tight. It's tight all over the division. Harold suffers defeat against Fulham Club. He played 10 minutes, mate. Ease up on him. And we lose after 5 games undefeated, which is disappointing. Navoyan gets the man of the match award with a 7.1 match rating. That kind of goes to show that it wasn't the best match for either side. And where does that leave us looking forward? So we've got a game against Red Bull Leipzig, which we'll play off screen. And then I think we might come back and do the game against Ufa, our last Europa League match in the group stage, to maybe see where we finish in that group. And then what date would the second round draw be? Yeah, it looks like that Europa League first knockout round draw takes place after our Man City game. So maybe we'll come back, we'll do Ufa in the Europa League to see where we finish in that group. And then we might also do the away match to Man City, who are top of the division. Hopefully we can keep in touch with them by the time we get to that match. Otherwise, it'll just be kind of like a measuring stick. How are we doing against the current or impending champions, or league leaders is probably the best way I should say it. And then we might, at the end of tomorrow's episode, bring us the knockout round draw for the Europa League, which will, of course, be a big focus of next week's episodes as well. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching. If you do kind of enjoy episodes like this one, where we go into something a little bit deeper, like the way we have looked at our staff today, let me know in the comment section below. I'm always more than happy to show you guys what you want to be seeing in these episodes, what you guys want to be trying to apply to your own saves, the mentality and the rationale, which isn't perfect. Like, I fuck it up more times than I get it right, but at least like it kind of explains why I do the things I do in the game. If you like that sort of stuff and there's anything that you want to see, let me know down in the comment section below. But more than anything, I just appreciate you guys watching. That's the part that means the most to me. As always, I've been Sean, and I'll see you all again in the mixer.